Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Bobo from Hong Kong Repertory Theatre. We're so honored. In this period of time, we have invited a dramaturg from Norway, Oslo National Theatre, who is sitting next to me, Hege. Thank you very much for joining us this week, all the way flying from Norway to Hong Kong. It's really a long distance. We invited you because we would like to know a very famous Norwegian playwright, Jon Fosse. So would you like to tell us a little bit about who is Jon Fosse, actually?
Jon Fosse is the biggest playwright in Norway after Henrik Ibsen.
Wow.
Yeah. And
just 100 years ago.
It's 100 years ago since we had Henrik Ibsen, and he wrote, and so it's great for such a small country as Norway to have such a big playwright so soon again.
Yeah.
You know, and Jon Fosse, he has written more than 30 drama. Mm-hmm. And they have been translated into more than 40 languages. Mm-hmm. And he has been, I think, something more than 900 productions. Wow. All over the world.
Not one in Hong Kong yet, huh?
Not in Hong Kong yet.
Hoping it will come soon.
We are working on it, right?
Yes.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, okay. In this way, why he became so important? So apart from he's a playwright, I know he starts as a novelist and a poet. So would you like to talk about a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, he as you said, yes, there was an artistic director at a theatre in Bergen on the western coast of Norway, and it's one of the biggest theatres in Norway. And he in the beginning of the 1990s, he started a new project trying to find new Norwegian playwrights. And one of his directors, Kai Johnsen, he had read one of the novels of Jon Fosse. And in that novel, this novel is called Closed Guitar. That's the title of the novel. And in that novel, there is a situation where a young woman, she closes herself out of her apartment. She will get the key on the inside. And on the inside, her baby is. So it's a desperate hunt to try to open that door.
All right.
And that's a very dramatic situation. And because of this, if I've understood it right, Kai Johnsen thought, well, perhaps Jon Fosse can write drama. And so he contacted him and asked him, but I think he had to convince him, because Jon Fosse, he hated theatre.
He hated theatre?
Yeah. And he had since he was quite young, seeing, school theatre, and then he had seen some productions in the bigger theatres in his grown-up lives, but he was not convinced about theatre at all. So, but he did write a play. So, and his first play came on the stage, was put up on the stage at the Nationale Scene, the national scene in Bergen. So that's how it came about.
Why and how is introduced to other parts of Europe and the rest of the world?
Yeah, he was in the start. Kai Johnsen, who discovered him, he made all the first Norwegian productions. He's a director, and he directed all the first Norwegian productions of Jon Fosse. I think he was the one who took Fosse first out abroad to Hungary. Was the first play. And he also directed it. And then Swedish director started to produce him, and then it went out. But he really got famous, started really to get famous first abroad when Claude Ricci, he's the grand old director, famous director in France, he put him on stage.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the tempo in his productions are very slowly. So when we use, let's say, an hour or something, he would use 2.
Or double time.
Double time, because and that's French theatre as well, because they're working a lot with form.
Yes.
And yeah, but and then Jon Fosse was translated into German. I think German theatres are really interesting. I think actually most of new things come out of the German theatre world, yes. And but he wasn't discovered there yet. Yes. And then Thomas Ostermeier, he took over Schaubühne in Berlin, yes. In 2000. And he put the Name, one of the plays, which is called The Name, on stage, and that was invited to festivals all over the world, and also a lot of other German theatre directors and artistic directors came and saw that. So that
Suddenly
was the start. Yeah, that was like an explosion. He really boomed in Germany, but for example, in England, it took longer time.
Yes, that's what I've heard as well.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly, but I think it might be that the German language somehow perhaps is closer to the Norwegian in some way. They're all also English is a Germanic language, also German, also Norwegian, but yeah, it was more difficult to put him on stage. It didn't become that popular in the start, and after a while, we thought, or his publisher thought, that perhaps we should, there should be a poet or a writer,
a playwright, and
a
poet, work together.
Yeah, you know. So there was a production where Jon Fosse. And I think that was Someone Is Going to Come, where Jon Fosse was working with another playwright or poet to translate it, and so that then it became another quality in English. Yeah. So, but I think perhaps also that the English theatre system is different than the German and the Norwegian, which has much more in common, and they are much more dependent on the box office. And you know, not so. They had to be more careful of being experimental.
Right.
And the English audience, when they think about Scandinavia, they think, oh, these depressed people and authors, and you know, Ibsen and Strindberg, and then Fosse, and all these terrible family stories. So I don't know. You know, it's just in my imagination, but. Yeah, so it took a little bit more time, but you know, he has been translated into all kind of languages, so and into Chinese as well, and some parts now also into Cantonese, because of our workshop, which has been fantastic.
But as you said, I find it really difficult in translation.
Yeah,
I'm sure no matter how hard we tried, there will be a loss in translation. There will be, you know, sudden loss in translation.
Yeah. And also because Jon Fosse, we have 3 different languages, but 2 main languages, and one of them is more the language that we are talking in, or we are talking all dialects, but 2 written languages, and one of them is the language that is written more in the cities, and the other one is more in the countryside, if we're going to say it very easily.
So 2 languages.
Yeah, 2 languages. And Jon Fosse is writing in this more countryside language, which is called nynorsk, New Norwegian. And that had perhaps also to do with it, you know, when he was put on stage, that we were automatically thinking a little bit like it's rural, and this rural aspect was stronger in the start, in the first place of Fosse, I think. And then when he was translated into other languages that didn't have that, you know, so he could be, you know, there was no difference of these city countryside, and that I think also opened up for the interpretation of the text.
The language in Fosse's plays very simple and unique. it's simple to understand, but of course not in Norwegian, but in English. But it's hard to translate. Yeah. So can you tell us about why he chose this kind of writing in simple sentence? And is it about the Norwegian language? Because you said it's simple and short. Mm-hmm. So is it about the language?
Yeah, well, you know, Jon Fosse is a poet. And you feel that a lot in his texts because they are very rhythmical written. And they have also these pauses, like in Pinterest texts.
Yes.
So the pauses are very important.
And repetitions.
The repetitions as well, yeah. And just like in Pinterest texts, there is no exposition in the start of the play. So you just start, you know, the characters just start. And we don't know their background. Yeah. We don't know where they come from. We don't know what happened before. We can find out a little bit during the text, just small sentences here and there. We have to be detectives, you know, yes. Searching for what happened actually before.
And the possibilities is so big.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, different actors will have different interpretation, and different directors can have, you know, different interpretation, and it requires a lot of imagination.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, you know, oh, you think it's this way, but suddenly when something comes out, and then you discover, oh, I was wrong, and then you have to go through again, again and again. Exactly. So it gives a lot of exploration and a lot of power to pursue what is it. What really is there?
Yeah, because it's so it's like like you said, you have all these repetitions, and the language is quite sparse, and you feel like kind of church rituals. You know, it's kind of, you get this kind of feeling when you read them. At the same time. It's also, the language is so simple in a way that it could also be something, you know, like a child. I was sitting in the bus listening to the neighbor women who met, and they didn't really want to talk to each other, but they had to for like 5 minutes on the bus, and they were like very sparse in what information they gave. So it was like a kind of, you know, more or less on the surface. Not saying not saying something real, you know.
The core.
The core.
Yeah, they're not talking about
talking
the core.
Around the core somehow.
But somehow you know what they really try to say.
Yeah.
But they just on the surface, they, you know, talking like normal life.
Yeah, yeah. And but you know, Fosse he does so many repetitions that somehow, and because you get a little bit more information gradually, so it goes deeper and deeper, and there's so many layers in his texts, so many layers, and so much to discover. So it's like every time you read his plays, you find new layers, new possibilities, and that's a good text, you know.
And it's beautiful. When I read his play, I find it's so powerful that it goes deep. Immediately, it goes deep into my soul. And it's very simple. And there's nothing redundant. I mean, there's nothing more than what should be spoken. And also my colleagues, my company's actors, so when they get in touch with the play this week, and they also express their thoughts, you know, about we more or less have the same feelings when they read it again and again. They explore a lot, and the amazing thing is they are really connected to what he's writing, and so that's why he's so big now.
Yeah, you know, it's why he became internationally so famous and played all over the world, I think, is because, you know, his dramas are timeless.
Yeah.
and they are, even if they are put up, the settings is at a remote Norwegian fjord. It could be anywhere in the world. So they're very open in the form, and I think that's they can also be played in the city. Some of them, it could be, it can be. It's the imagination of the director and the actors, how to interpret it. So yeah, I think that's why, just like Ibsen as well, or other famous playwrights. I won't compare them, but like just like Shakespeare and Goethe and all this, that will never die. And I think actually that Jon Fosse will stay as one of the playwrights that will be also played in the future.
Please share with us your experience with us, for the week.
Yeah, it has been really a pleasure to work with you and with your actors. They have been so open and so sensitive about the plays and wanting to dig into the material. And I think we have come really far just in those 5 days. It's
actually
nothing.
It's like 2 days.
Yeah,
when they really work on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's nothing. And even though yesterday when we looked on the work that they have, what they have been working at, I really felt touched, because some of them really, reach some points in his text that are really moving. And but it has, they, I just tried to open the texts for them. Yeah. And but it has been, it just has been a beautiful cooperation, I think.
Yeah, thank you. But I know it's very important that why you are here is because of Inga from Ibsen International, and I deeply appreciate that she cooperated with us and bring you here. So. Please say a few words.
Yes, it's really because of Inga Buresund and Ibsen International that I'm able to be here. And she asked me if I could come and do this workshop in cooperation with you. Yes. And I've been working with her for the last years in China, in Beijing, and doing workshops there, several workshops, very intensive workshops. And and I'd never been to Hong Kong before, and when she asked me and doing a workshop about Fosse here, I immediately said yes. And I'm so grateful that I got that opportunity, and it has been really a pleasure for me to be here and working with you really good actors and together with you guys.
I think it's great for Norway, the state support Ibsen International to really promote Norwegian culture to all over the world, right? So they have an intensive, programs in China now.
Yeah, and that's Ibsen International is cooperating with people in China, artists in China, and so it's always this Norwegian-Chinese exchange in everything that is done. Yeah. And it's a fantastic possibility.
I must represent Hong Kong Repertory Theatre and West Kowloon Cultural District to thank you for flying all the way to Hong Kong and introduce Fosse to us. And let us find this treasure. It's a big treasure. And we hope to see you again and work with you again.